what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. On behalf of the board, the administration, the faculty, staff, and the students of Concord Christian Academy, I'd like to welcome all of the veterans who've joined us here today, and those who are unable to be here but are watching on live stream, and those who are not veterans but are visiting with us as well. We are so glad to welcome you to our annual CCA Veterans Day Chapel. And we're really excited, and we are hopeful that this service, though it's brief, will be encouraging and enjoyable and just exciting for all of you. So it's my privilege to open us in prayer. Before I do that, though, I do want to mention, just take a moment to explain to you the empty chair that we have on stage to my left. We've placed this chair on stage as sort of a way of representing all of the veterans who have passed away and are no longer with us, particularly those who gave their lives while carrying out their duties in the military. And this is a symbolic way for us to say that as a school we will always reserve a spot for them in the way that we teach history and in our memories and in our hearts. We understand that that literally is the ultimate sacrifice, the greatest sacrifice someone could make, and we understand what a weighty and serious thing that is for those who've given their lives. So that is the chair that we've reserved for all the veterans who are no longer with us. Will you please join me now as we open in prayer. God, thank you for bringing us all here today safely. Thank you for our country, Lord. We know we face struggles and we face uncertainties at times, but we are so thankful for your providence and your protection. Thank you so much for every individual, every man and woman who has served in the military throughout our history. But we're particularly thankful for those that are a part of our CCA community, who are watching on live stream, and those who are here with us today who've taken the time to be here. Lord, please encourage and help them. We know that there can be stress and difficulties associated with military service, so I pray that you would fill them with your spirit and give them peace and joy. And our desire is that they would feel very much appreciated and honored as a result of this service today. I pray for those who will be participating on stage, that you'd give them strength and courage as they do the various readings. And Lord, we just ask for your blessing on this time today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Today is a day of celebration and recognition, but in some ways it is a solemn one.
Originally observed as Armistice Day, the 11th day of the 11th month marked the anniversary of the end of World War I and honored its fallen. As our country and much of the world mourned, there remained a desperate glimmer of hope that the Great War could indeed be the war to end all wars.
Of course, we know that it wasn't. World War II was fought less than 2 decades later, then the Korean War, Vietnam, and the Gulf War. It was only 2 years ago that we ended America's longest war, the war in Afghanistan.
As war and conflict continued, so too did the courage and sacrifice of American men and women who defended our nation and its interests. Many paid the ultimate sacrifice.
In 1954, as a result of the years-long campaign led by World War II veteran Raymond Weeks, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a day to commemorate all the veterans of all wars and eras, past, present, and future, living and dead, while hope of a war and without our world faded, and continue to mourn our fallen. November 11th became a day to celebration and gratitude.
And so, as another Veterans Day approaches, we are grateful to be here with you to honor all the veterans who came before us, those who stood beside us, and those who will come after us.
To those veterans here today, thank you. Your service and sacrifice represents the best of us and the best of America. We salute you and appreciate the great costs that often come with serving.
Let's also take a moment to acknowledge those families who have helped shoulder the weight of war and the burdens of sacrifice. To the mothers, fathers, spouses, and children of our military men and women, thank you.
This Veterans Day, let's celebrate what we can accomplish. And when we come together, let's recognize that this service doesn't end in the military, and that thank you is just the beginning of a new gratitude.
Happy Veterans Day to each of you, and we hope you enjoy this special time together at CCA. Thank you.
So for anyone who might not know, my name is Andrew Doan. I'm the Creative Arts Director here at CCA, and I'm going to be kind of the MC for today's ceremony. So I want to thank all of the girls who are going to be doing the readings today for volunteering to do that, and as well as to Leanne for singing the national anthem for us, because you would not want me doing that at all, for sure. So what we're going to do at this time, I'm actually going to ask Caleb to go ahead and bring up the house lights just so you guys can see a little bit more. So I counted just a couple of minutes ago, and we were at 19, but I think a few of these veterans sneaked in right at the last minute. So I think we may even be closer to 21 or 22 veterans who've taken time to be with us today, which is a fantastic number. I think that's even a little bit more than we had last year. So thank you so much for coming. I'm going to ask our student body president and vice president, Zach and Lila, to come down here. So they're gonna come through, and we've got just a small thank you card and a small token of our appreciation to all the vets. So they're just gonna start going through the line here. And if you're one of our visiting vets, you can take one of these. It's just a small way for us as a school to say thank you for taking the time to be here, and more importantly, thank you for the time that you have spent or are spending in the military. Okay, so I'm gonna let them get a little bit of a head start. And then the next thing we'd like to do, students, we have our entire student body here, which is fantastic. We would like for you to be able to actually meet these folks and not just see the back of their heads as they're sitting at the front of the room. So we're going to go through, and I did prepare all of our visitors for this, hopefully not putting them on the spot too much. We're just going to go one at a time and ask them. I'm going to hand the mic over to them, ask them to tell us their name, the branch of the military where they served, and I just said if there is anything else about their time in the military that they wanted to share with you. And students, I think it would be fantastic as each one of them introduces themselves, if you could just show your appreciation and welcome them with a short round of applause after each one. All right? So you picked, actually, we should probably start over here. Does he want to introduce himself? Okay.
This is Leanne's grandfather. His name is
Joseph Hart,
he served in the
or
what branch? Navy.
the Navy,
And what ship?
Nereus,
The USS Nereus, Pearl Harbor. You were stationed in Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor,
San Diego,
San Diego,
and you also were in the Korean War
and I was also in the Korean War.
and had the privilege of going on the honor flight. You went on the honor flight to Washington.
If you wanted to say it, that's
He had the privilege to go on the honor flight to Washington, D.C.
right. Let's welcome him. Thank you so much. You can just set it up like that. Did everybody get one? All right, your turn. Why don't you go ahead and stand up, and you can, if you're able to do that. Is that going to work? All right.
My name is John Cather. My granddaughter goes here. She's in first grade. I was in the Navy from 72 to 75. I served aboard the USS LaSalle. Is no longer floating now. But yeah, I was in the Middle East for 13 months, and that's about it. My last duty station was New London, Connecticut.
Okay, let's welcome him.
My name was Dave Bloom. I was a sergeant in the Army, Vietnam combat vet, 1969 to 1970.
All right, thank you.
I'm Lee Gregoire. I'm Lillian's dad. I was the specialist in the Army. I worked in tactical operations and intelligence.
Good morning. My name is Dave Johnston. I was a lieutenant in the United States Navy. I was stationed in Charleston, South Carolina on a guided missile frigate, which is a surface warfare destroyer escort type ship.
My name is Eric Warren. Lucas, you my boy. Army, in 93 to 2008. Combat veteran, a few tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Intel, I was also Intel for my last 8 years. And now I'm with the love of my life.
Good morning, Storm First Class Renault, #Tom. Tyler Renault's my son. I don't know where he's at, but make fun of him for me being up here later, okay? I've been in a little over 20 years, logistics primarily, food service, recruit and retention, and I spent time in Korea, Africa, Iraq, Fort Carson, Colorado, Fort Devens, and all over. So thank you guys for putting this on. We do appreciate it.
I'm Will Perez, and I am the grandfather of Sam Perez, somewhere in here, and there he is. And I served in the Army in Vietnam from 66 to 68 as infantry, and also after that I served in the U.S. Army Reserves for about 4 years.
Oh, I think you guys know who this is.
I'm Jim Schofield. I served in the United States Coast Guard from 78 to about 84. I did search and rescue all over the East Coast, and I was discharged from Charleston. So and I'm a Navy brat. So, thanks.
Hi, I'm Jeff, Marine Corps veteran and Iraq War veteran.
I'm Joe Nault. Did 13 years in the Air Force as a part of the K-9 unit. I'm Landon and Gavin's dad, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Diana Nault. I am his mother and Landon and Gavin's grandmother. I did 20 years in the Air Force.
I'm Renee Nault. I'm the grandfather of Landon and Gavin, and I did 20 years in the Air Force.
Good morning. I'm Gary Kielsgaard. I was a staff sergeant in the Air Force. I did 10 years, 72 to 82.
Hi. My name is Joe Toll. I was a sergeant in U.S. Army. I have two grandsons here, Biagio and DeMarco Danini. I spent my time in Germany on Border Patrol.
My name is Al Rimillard. I served in the Air Force from 77 to 82. I'm here for my grandson, Grayson, and that's about it.
Good morning. My name's Ron Rimillard. I served in the Air Force from 67 to 71. I was stationed with the Titan II missile system in Wichita, Kansas.
Good morning, I'm David Horn. My son's Tristan. He's in 7th grade. I was in the Marines from 92 to 2000. I was in the National Guard from 01 to 07, and I was a sergeant. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Godek. I am proud that my four of the great grandnephews go here. I was a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army Combat Engineers. Our mission was to go and prevent, I went over after the Berlin crisis, and it was things were very hostile over there in a sense. And we had targets on the Czech border should hostilities ensue and people come over the border. One of the biggest events while I was over there is that President Kennedy was assassinated and the entire battalion was put on alert. After I left the 9th Engineers, I came back to New Hampshire and was in the 8th Company of the 268th Engineers.
I'm First Lieutenant Alan Godek. That was my brother that was speaking. So I have 4 grandchildren here. Amaya, Bryce, Caden, and Dana Joy. I love being a part of this school. Came to see several soccer games that Caden was in, and Dana Joy as well, her first game. I was a headquarters company commander for the 540th Engineer Group. So I worked directly under a full bird colonel. And it was a very exciting time. I have 2 outstanding memories of my service. One was that I got to see the Berlin Wall. I got to travel to Berlin and actually witness that terrible wall that came down after that. So I was there before it came down, and it was quite a sight. And the second thing was being in the Army, and it wasn't all bad. I volunteered for to be on the 7th Corps ski team. And the United States Army Europe has a big championship. I won the cross country, so I was a champion. and our team won the whole team title as well. So it was a great time. Thank you.
I'm Zoe's dad, Staff Sergeant Nicholas Smollett of the Air Force. I was a firefighter. I've seen a couple of the sandboxes, bombed a few times. I just wanted to say, if you see all the people up here, there's a job for everybody. I've been a firefighter for 18 years now. Just because I was in the military doesn't make it any different. I still serve to this day. So if you want a job, you want to be trained, you want to be paid good, military is the way to go.
Hi, I'm Lee Oxley, United States Navy veteran, grandfather to Bryce Moran. I was stationed in Florida during the missile crisis from 64 to 65, I can't remember. And then I went to Panama, and during that time I was a seaman, and I was a chaplain's yeoman. You wouldn't believe it today.
Did we miss anyone? I want to make sure I don't want to leave anybody out. All right. So one of my favorite things about that right there, and kind of one of the themes we're trying to develop in this ceremony today, is the idea of family. And I love how so many of you pointed out, you know, your grandkids or your children, or, you know, sort of the family connection there. And I think that's a big part of trying to honor the military and honor veterans is also, and we even mentioned it earlier in the reading, the families that are connected to those veterans, because it's a sacrifice they have to make, and there's a lot that kind of goes along with that. And so something that we did a couple of years ago, and we're going to do it again this year, which I think it's fun, but it's also kind of revealing for all of us to see just how many connections there are that we have as a school to the military. In just a minute, we're going to bring up a video, and you may or may not know this, but each branch of the military has sort of like an anthem or a song, sort of their theme song. And so we have what's called a military medley, which is basically just each of the anthems for the different branches of service kind of all blended together. And so we've done this in the past. This year, however, and Oliver, you can go ahead and bring up the screen if you want. I actually chose a video. It's a recording of a live event. This was a concert that took place back in May in Washington, D.C. It was the Memorial Day concert, and they did the military medley. The reason I chose this for two reasons, even though it's a little odd to do a recording of a live video. One, this is actually, according to them, this is the first time that they've done this where they also included the Space Force, which is the newest branch of the military. And then the other reason why I like this is you can actually see the different men walking out, or the soldiers walking out with the different branches as the music is played. And it's just kind of interesting to see. But the way we're going to do this here, when we start the video in just a second, is if you, when the music is played, for a particular branch of service, if you have, and we're not being real strict on the rules here, if you have anybody in your life that you care about, it could be a family member or a friend, someone that's important to you, if they are either did serve in that branch or are serving in that branch, we would like for you to stand, if you're able to, when that music is played. And it's just interesting to be able to look around and see, because obviously not everybody, some of you may have relatives who live too far away and they couldn't be here today. So we're going to go through this, and when your branch is represented through the music, or someone that you care about who's a part of that branch, you can just go ahead and stand up. You don't have to do anything other than that. And then when it moves on to the next one, you can sit down. So we're going to leave the house lights up so everybody can see. And then, of course, you'll be able to see on the video as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the video.
It's been a tradition from the beginning of the National Memorial
Let's take
Day
the volume
concert
up just
to
a bit
see
on that.
all the men and women from every branch of our armed services. Please welcome the Chiefs of the Military Services.
And now, Maestro Jack Everly, our orchestra and military choruses, perform the Armed Forces Medley. Whether here or watching at home, if you are able, please stand when your service is presented. The United States Coast Guard.
United
All right. Thank you so much. So if you were paying attention, there are a lot of connections in our CCA community to the military, which is just fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on to our next reading here. Just prior to the onset of America's involvement in World War II, President Franklin D. Roosevelt sought to unite several service associations into one to lift the morale of our military and nourish support on the home front. These entities, the Salvation Army, Young Men's Christian Association, Young Women's Christian Association, National Catholic Community Services, National Travelers Aid Association, and the National Jewish Welfare Board, became the United Service Organizations, or the USO. Today, the USO has continued to support our nation's military and their families for over 7 decades as they defend our country and its freedoms. By providing support to our servicemen and women as they perform the most challenging duties around the world, their credo is to be always by their side. At this time, Mila Rose, a 6th grade student here at CCA, is going to read a portion of a story that the USO has shared about a soldier, his family, and their unique way of staying connected during the soldier's deployment. And I do just want to add a note here. This is not like a fictional story. This is an actual article about a soldier and his family.
Brett Schmidt sits in his quarters on his camp in Kuwait in the heat of the summer. The afternoon is the hottest part of the day here, with temperatures hitting as high as 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm in a bit of a wind tunnel, and there are times where it literally feels like the inside of a big hairdryer, with this hot air just flying through, he said. Surrounded by an arid brown desert and the low rumble of military machinery in the background, Kuwait feels completely different from Brett's home in Wisconsin. However, it's not just the weather or landscape that makes Brett's current day-to-day so different from home. It's also the fact that there are more than 6,000 miles between him, his wife Tessa, and their 2 children. To be apart from your loved ones is one thing, but to be apart from your young children from 9-month deployed to another country, in a region requiring undertaking stressful and high-pressure missions, that time apart can be even more difficult. But throughout his deployment, Brett was determined to stay connected to his family. And through a library of books, a passion for reading, and a little help from the USO, he has done just that. Brett and Tessa have 2 children, a 7-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son, with Tessa being a former Wisconsin Librarian of the Year, and Brett himself, a proponent of reading. The whole family has a passion for reading. The kids love it, and bedtime books have become a cherished family routine, Brett said. This deployment is the first time in which his children have had to handle his departure. Here, given the distance and given the time zone issues, that's been more challenging, he said. So the USO reading program has helped fill the gap somewhat. Soon after his arrival, Brett found out about the USO reading program, which he could use at the USO Center on base in Kuwait. Through this program, service members can record themselves reading a book to their child. The recording and copy of the book are then sent to that service member's family, so that, in a way, they can be present for story time back at home. As soon as I learned that it was an option, I've been taking advantage of it ever since, Brett said. Every week, I have gone over to the USO and picked out 2 new books to read for my kids. Their daughter loves books with dragons and animals. Their son wants to listen to any book involving vehicles. Since he left for Kuwait in December 2022, Brett has read and sent over 50 books to his children back home, providing them with the familiar sound of his voice before bedtime as they read books every night. The USO reading program has really helped me stay connected with my family while overseas, Brett said. Given their ages, now is a particularly important time for them with literacy. The USO reading program has helped me feel like I'm doing everything I can to help them out while I'm deployed. I am very much looking forward to reading the books once I am home. With any luck, I'll be home in time for both of their birthdays. This story is just one example of ways that the USO helps our members of the military as they carry out their important work. Thank you.
And I would just add on to that, sometimes if you're wondering, what can I do to support the troops? What can I do to support those that are in the military? It does seem that the USO has a lot of different opportunities, and so that might be something you could check out their website. And even as the holidays are rolling around, I'm sure they have a number of programs available that you can contribute to or get involved in if you want to support the military in that way. All right, as we move towards the end of our program here, there is one other thing that we've done in the past, and we wanted to do it again this year, and that's what we call our picture parade. So it would be really cool if we could have an actual parade, but we're not really equipped to do that, especially as it gets colder outside. And so what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, what I've been doing is collecting pictures and videos from those in our CCA community of people that are in their lives, family or friends that serve in the military, and they've sent in pictures of that, and we've put it all together into a little slideshow. I do have to say I was a little disappointed. I wanted to include a lot more information for each one, but just it starts to get really crowded on the screen, and so I did have to limit it just to their name and their branch of service and then their connection to CCA. But I do want you to know that all of these people that send in pictures, the deployments and the years of service, that's why there's just so much to include. There's no way I could fit it on the screen, which again I think is just a fantastic thing for our community with how much people have given to the military here. So right before we wrap things up here, and I'll come back after the video is done to finish things out, we'd like for you guys to enjoy this year's Veterans Picture Parade.
the Army for 15 years.
Hi, I'm Kason Downey, and this is my granny.
Now, I was in the Navy. I was an airman, and I was in for 3 years. Want to say anything else? How about Happy Veterans Day?
Happy Vengeance Day.
Well, once again, to all of our veterans who are here or who are watching at home, thank you so much for taking time to be here. We hope that you feel appreciated. We hope that you feel honored. And we, as a school, definitely enjoy taking this time out of our day. It is a little early. We know that Veterans Day is next week, but the calendar sort of dictated that we do it this early. So thank you for being here. Normally, I would close with a benediction in prayer, but I actually came across a video that is literally a prayer for the veterans, and I thought it just so perfectly kind of summed up what our prayers as a school would be for our veterans. And so actually for our benediction this year, I know normally when we would pray students, you would probably close your eyes, but if you can actually just watch the screens, we're going to offer this together as a prayer for our veterans. And then if you'll just stay right where you are when it's done, I'll come up and let you know kind of how we're going to handle dismissal. So for our benediction, we'll play this last video. All right, so that concludes our service today, and I think what we will do is actually, if everyone except for the elementary grades could stay seated, we're going to get the littlest ones, the shortest ones out of here first so they don't end up going crowd surfing unintentionally. So if everyone else will stay where you are, elementary teachers, feel free to go ahead and lead your classes out, and then we will go from there. And as they're making their way out, just one quick announcement for the middle school and high school. Just a reminder that both our varsity girls soccer team and our varsity girls volleyball team have reached the Final Four for the state tournament. And so those games are coming up later today. And if you are able to take time to make it to either one of those games, I think they overlap a little bit. But if you're able to make it to either one of those games and support our girls as they are in the state tournament, that is today. So just a reminder to middle school and high school. All right, I think most of the elementary have made their way out. So to the rest of you, thank you so much. And middle and high school, you'll be heading to your next hour class. Everybody have a wonderful day.